Hi, welcome to this short video on looking at what leverage is. This is an introductory video to leverage and margin as well. Let's start off by looking at something that we're all familiar with. For anybody that has bought a house, you will be familiar with this concept and how it actually incorporates leverage and margin as well. It's a good example to actually use. So we start off with, we find a house that we want to buy. It costs $100,000 and we have $10,000 of our own money to put down on the house. This is going to leave us with having to borrow $90,000 so that we can buy it. And if we find a bank that will lend us the money, we will be leveraged on this house at a 10-to-1 ratio, or 10 times the original cost of the house. So we're allowed to buy the house, and in return of borrowing the money, and this is the important bit, it's the amount that we've actually borrowed, we have to pay this back. And if we don't pay it back, then there will be penalties for this. If we get into arrears, then the house will be repossessed. So the important thing here is the borrowing and how this actually affects how much we're actually leveraged up. So leverage is expressed as a ratio. So for example, on a 1-to-1, that means that whatever you're putting down is equal to the actual price or the value. And then of course, as you work your way up, you can see how much more you actually have to borrow in order to place the trade or buy the item. So again, just to recap here, it's the ratio of funds that you have to borrow from your broker in order to place the trade. And this is known as leverage. So let's have a look at an example. So an example of 1-to-1 leverage would be very simple. We have a deposit of $1 against the full margin of $1. So it equals the same amount. So anything that you buy, that you hand over, and you don't borrow is a 1-to-1 transaction. If we have a 50-to-1, this means that for every $1 that you actually deposit and put down on the trade, the broker will lend up to $50 or 50 times more so that you can actually place the trade. And this is how the leverage aspect works. Again, you are just borrowing from the broker. They're actually covering the other part of the $49 so that you can actually do the trade. And the same if we do 100-to-1, no different whatsoever. $1 will allow you to trade up to 100 times or $100 worth of the actual stock, commodity, currency, whatever it is you're actually trading. So let's have a look at an example. If a share is trading at $100 and you put down $10 as a deposit, and this means that in order to actually do the trade, you're going to have to borrow from the exchange $90 with your $10. That gives you the $100 so that you can actually buy the share or trade the share, not necessarily buy it, but trade it. And then if the price moves higher to $110, this is where it gets interesting in the power of leverage. Then your initial deposit of $10, because we borrowed the other 90, has increased from $10 to $20. And the increase from 10 to 20 is, of course, 100% return. So we're looking at a 10% return from $100 to 110, but the amount that we put down is the key here, and we actually get 100% return because we've seen the price increase. It's given us a $10 return on the $10 that we put down, which is 100%. But what happens if the market or the price of this share drops down to $90? This means that we will lose our $10 deposit. So we're going to lose 100%. And this is the downside, if you like, of using leverage when you borrow the remainder to actually do the trade. So something you've got to keep in mind. It's a double-edged sword, but there are ways of actually using leverage and being able to mitigate this potential risk. And that's the key to these videos, is being able to understand what it is you're exposing yourself to. No different than the house. If you don't make the payments, then you will get into arrears. The property will be repossessed and then it will be sold. And if there is a balance owing after that, after the house has been auctioned and sold, then you will still be liable for it. So you need to understand the risks associated with leverage, and that's again what we're going to look at in these videos. So the key here is this: knowing the leverage and the associated margin requirements is important to your trading, because it directly impacts the number and the size of trades that you can safely make at any one time. And again, just to reiterate, in this course we cover all of this, and not only that, but I've also created a calculator that works it all out for you, and you can see the exposure, the worst case scenario that you would be exposed to before putting on the trade. And even before that, we have ways of mitigating and reducing any potential loss before we even get to a situation where we have serious damage to our trading accounts. So to summarize in this video then, the margin and leverage allows you to trade a large amount of contracts with a small deposit. And whilst the gain can be significant, so can the losses if there is no risk management strategy employed. And again, that's why these videos have been created, is to emphasize this point and get across this point too. Yes, we can participate and make terrific gains, but you must understand the risk associated. And that's the key to successful trading, is managing risk. And that's really in any type of finance, to be honest, whether it's a business deal or whatever it may be, is being able to see the risk and then actually manage it. Right, that's it for this video. If you have any questions with regards to the basics of margin and leverage, then please let us know. Other than that, I will see you in part 2. Thanks for watching.